afternoon, Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. I have as my distinguished guests this afternoon, Bundit and Janice of Tadpole Studio. It's a small, very green architectural firm. And why don't we begin by one of you telling me where in the world does tadpole come from? Because when I think of a tadpole, I'm thinking of a creature that's in the water, and it eventually becomes a creature that emerges onto land. And of course, that's what our rather distant ancestors did. Any relationship there? Where did tadpole come from?
Well, it actually has to do with Bundit's name.
Oh, really?
He's Thai, so in Thailand, everyone has a nickname because their Thai names are so long. So his nickname in Thai that his parents gave him means frog. But for Bundit, he feels like he would get old but never grow up. So he's not grown up yet, so he's a tadpole.
Wow.
So it's named after his name.
Bundit, why don't you pronounce your name for the audience?
My name is Bundit. My last name is Kanisthakhon. That's my name.
We're going to leave that up to you. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how did you folks meet?
We met when we were going to school in Massachusetts.
And how did you get from Thailand to Massachusetts?
I got a full scholarship to attend MIT, so to go to school there, and with everything paid for.
Wow.
So,
and what did you do to get a full scholarship to MIT?
I just applied and just lucky enough to get in.
Just lucky enough to get it. Yeah. Wow.
And Janice was, a wealthy student.
Oh, okay.
And she was taking some classes at MIT, so we start taking the same classes and become good friends.
Yeah.
And when you applied in Thailand, what was the application process like?
You basically can go to any school in the U.S. I was offered to school, but MIT just offered me full scholarships. One is UC Berkeley, and one is Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Goodness gracious. Did you hook up with a rather exceptional young man?
Sometimes I feel like that's true. Just sometimes.
I happen to be a UC Berkeley
Oh.
grad. And, wow. There are so many people in this world who would give their eye teeth for that. A full scholarship to Cal or to MIT anyway.
Oh.
Wow. So
I was just lucky.
Just lucky. Yes. Okay, so you're a very small green architectural firm, and before we go into the slides, we better get to them pretty quickly, but just a little bit about your greenness. Why green?
Well, actually, when we do our design practice, I don't think we specifically think about being green or being sustainable. Bunda always said that what we're trying to do is for our design to be appropriate to the place and to the time and to the project. So a lot of our design is responses to, Hawaii, if they're in Hawaii, specific to the climate and the place of Hawaii, and to us being responsive to the context and the environment and all that is very important. So that's how we look at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And use the appropriate technologies.
Yeah, well,
That's what we do.
I'm the energy codes guy for the state of Hawaii, and I go to the national hearings, and not I personally, but a bunch of us persuaded 2 national codes to create a separate climate zone called the Tropical Climate Zone. And then I sat around with my committee, and we decided that how do you define tropics? And it came down, and tropics for the temporary is Hawaii. So now we're devising an energy code specifically for Hawaii.
Great.
Yeah. So I think the ideas that you present in your design will have great correlation with what I'm doing with the code.
Yeah.
So do you want to get going on the slides then?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So the first slide, I think today we want to talk about some of our projects, some are for work and some are for play. So the work ones, yeah, that was the next slide, please, will show some of our work projects. We do a variety of projects from big to small, and sometimes it's as big as a building, sometimes as small as a parking booth. So it's a variety of projects.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll see, I think your staff or people involved in the next slide?
Yeah, so in the next slide, this is our a group of people that we work very closely with. You may notice that these are not our team members who came to the studio with us today, but these are the craft people that we work with. Maybe a little bit different from other designers and architects is that we like to involve the people who will be hands-on building our projects early on in our design process, because they know better than us the actual ins and outs and the technical details of how to put things together. So whereas we may have a design vision, but these people knows how to put things together, and we like to get their input and get them involved early.
So they help with the specifications?
Yeah,
then? Yeah.
from early on, and they know the technologies that's appropriate for this climate well.
Yeah.
They know the techniques and everything. So
Beautiful.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you involve them in the design
yeah,
process then?
from the get-go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're very blessed to have a team of woodworkers and metal welder and contractors that we've been establishing a very good working relationship with.
Is that a unique approach? Because I work with a lot of architectural firms, the bigger ones primarily, and I don't think they do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how unique it is, but that's something that we feel is important to our design, because it's very informative to us that, we don't like to be just kind of, be on our own doing our drawings or doing our computer modeling. We're very much like a collaborative approach.
And when you're specifying, by any chance, can you specify reuse the reconstructed products?
Oh, definitely,
The materials?
And they're the one that know the sources, where to
yeah.
get it, what's the best, where is the best to get all those sources.
Wow.
Yeah.
So certainly that's one way that you're green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We go like from bottoms up, not top down. Not so
Beautiful.
conventional.
Yeah, I like
practice.
that. And we've got another slide coming up.
Yes, so in the next slide, I think this is a very good project to show that approach. This is a project that we did for the Honolulu Museum of Art. So they asked us to take a look at their existing parking booth on the parking behind Lilikona building, which was just kind of a plastic shed from Home Depot. And so that wasn't working really well, especially for the people working in there. It gets really hot. And so we looked at designing a new one for them. And the key thing is that we want to utilize bed frames in the design.
Yeah. And we want to engage the community. So we send out the call for bed frames. So the donors bring in the bed frame that they left in the garage for so long that never get used. And we collect a lot of those, fabricate them, and work with the craftsmen and just build them.
So a lot of them, we also drove around because we noticed a lot of bed frames get abandoned on the sidewalk, on the curbside. So
I just put up one for bulky item pickup just a couple of weeks ago.
So we do a lot of driving around and checking out what kind of trash people are throwing out, and then kind of like, oh, maybe we can pick that up. So during that time, we were getting calls from people that's randomly like, oh, I saw bed frames up in Lily Hut, and we'll like go grab it. So the interesting thing about this project is that the structure, the primary structure is we use these bed frames that we collected.
Yeah. And also the plywood that we use for the project are from the Schofield Barrack that they don't get to use anymore. So we asked whether we can, get them and put them together, and it become a parking booth.
So these are marine gray plywood, so we're able to use it on the exterior of the structure. So,
are we going to see the finished product?
yeah, so in the next slide, this is the finished product.
Goodness.
So the design intention is that besides an area where the parking attendants will actually work, there's also a space above that will help filter out the heat from the sun. So heat rises, and then it'll be in that that space above the work area. So then the just kind of providing additional breathing space, ventilation.
Yeah. And do you have a ceiling fan up in the ceiling then to draw the
There's
hot
a
air
ceiling right inside the parking booth space. But up above, we allow it to glow at night. We put this energy efficient LED lamp that donated by our friend. So it changes color. And once it does it at night, it provides security in that area. So people know where to go at night. It's more like a beacon for the community. It used to be pitch dark in that area.
Yeah. I've certainly been there. Yeah.
So with this, it's give the sense of security, for the community and the passerby to look at something.
Yeah. And what colors do you emanate from there?
Oh, you can program it any different colors, because of the LED have a program that you can key it in. So it changes color from purple to green.
Yeah, I think right now it's just all different colors, but certainly it can be programmed to be a specific color if the museum has an event that needs, a specific color to match it. Yeah. So
do they know about that? Do they know how to do the programming?
Yeah, we give them all the
manual.
The manual, how to operate.
Because you're dealing with artists there. They would think of the appropriate colors.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay, I think all of us are gonna, as we're driving by there, we're gonna look very intently. What are those colors? What might be going on out there?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very, very impressive. And what else are we going to see here?
So then in the next slide is, this is another project with the museum, and this is up at Spalding House up in Makiki. So on top of reusing material, we're also looking at reusing space. And this is a project about reusing that existing tennis court that was part of the museum, and that was quite underused.
Yeah. So what we propose is to create like a storage space and use that tennis court to become like a gallery. They call it surface gallery. So we work with the museum closely, collaborate with them, and come up with a new use for their museum. So the artists can come and use it.
And you certainly don't have to worry about what your surface is going to be because it's a tennis court surface.
Right. So we put gravel on it.
Yeah, they actually want to repurpose it. Yeah, so in this slide, you see that the requirement is to provide storage space because besides using it as an outdoor gallery, the museum's also using it for educational purposes. They might have classes for kids and other students in this area, and they need storage space. And also this storage space, when the doors are open, it can also double up as display space, exhibition space, or you can even sit in it to be out of the sun. So I believe the doors are also reclaimed from somewhere else.
Army base that our contractor found it and just those are mahoganies that taken down.
From the older homes.
Yeah. So we reuse them and they've been working quite nicely. So when they remove, you can use that space inside to become like a showcase of something as well. So multi-purpose.
And the Army just gives you these things, or are you responsible for hauling it? Once the Army calls you and says, hey, I have some doors, or how does that work?
We go through the contractor that we work with closely.
Yeah, the contractor, they're demolishing some structures, I think, at the base, and then they're like, hey, we got these doors that is still in good condition. You guys can have it if you want. And then we're like, oh, it'll be great to use for the museum. You guys,
And, well, we need to go to a commercial now, but I'm intrigued by this process of reusing via the Army. So, wow, this is really, really, really intriguing. I knew you guys were green, but not that green.
Wow. Just trying to be, keeping an eye on the resources that we have on this island, which is limited, and just reusing as much as we can without shipping in new materials from out of the island.
So you're getting all kinds of lead points for this, I hope.
We lead 35, but we never went into.
None of our projects went after LEED. It's a lot of work.
It is.
But luckily, a lot of our clients recognize the importance of doing sustainable design, but maybe not all the paperwork.
Okay, well, we'll take a break and be right back.
Here on ThinkTech Hawaii, you can watch us via live stream. You can watch us recorded on Olelo, and you can see us each week. We hope you'll join us.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance. Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island in the ER position. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the ThinkTech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues. Hawaii has long been the health state, but we need to keep up the momentum, the inertia, and with your help and with your participation, we can come and share all of the big issues that are pressing day to day. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday, alternating weeks from 2 to 2:45.
This is Alice Lee Hagan, host of ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. My show here at ThinkTech Hawaii is every Thursday from 3 to 4 in the afternoon. I bring in interesting guests from Hawaii, the mainland, and hopefully international guests in the future. Do join us on Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. ThinkTech Hawaii Business Education Spotlight. Aloha.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon, and on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Good afternoon again. Howard Wiig, ThinkTech Hawaii Code Green. I have as my guests today Bundit and Janice of Tadpole Studio. I knew when I invited them on that they were green. They are so green they could be in a frog pond full of lilies or something. I mean, really. We've been learning that much of the material that they build with is found material. They literally go with trucks and get old bed frames. The Army contractor just gives them all kinds of excess stuff. It saves it from the landfill, and you don't have to import it. Just so green. So what else are we going to see now?
Okay, so in the previous segment, we talked about our museum projects. In the next segment, right now, where the next slide will show our retail projects that we've been working on in the past few months. It's for a client called Hawaii Life, real estate brokers. So they are a real estate brokerage firm established in Kauai, and this is their location in Waikoloa in the Big Island. So they're going into this retail space, and they're gonna fit it out for their own use. But when we first went in, there was like some discussion about the existing material that's already there. You see a lot of wood trims up on the ceiling and on the walls and the floorboard. And these are really nice, and not to mention expensive monkey pot wood. So, but the existing aesthetic doesn't really match with what we're trying to achieve with the build out. So there's discussion about just getting rid of them, but Bundit came up with the idea of reusing them. So we took all these trims off, and then as you will see in the next slide, then that we repurposed these trims. So we asked the contractor to take down all these monkey pot trims and turn it into a table. So as part of Hawaii Life's function that they want to do in their space, they like to have these community table where their potential clients can come in and use it, or they might even host some events or seminar. So it's essentially just a big table.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That everyone can use, and they can touch and feel it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
no longer become like a decoration on the buildings, but it becomes something that you can really be a
Yeah.
part of. That's our design mission as well.
Yeah, yeah, and then part of their discussion can be a tale of monkey pod and how precious it is today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go to a lumber store and try to buy just 10-foot pieces of 4x4 monkey pod. You'll can pay your mortgage with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, wow.
And this way, all the customer can feel it and touch it and be a part of it as well. It's
Yeah.
no longer become like a decoration at the
Yeah,
building.
and you probably selected which grain would look best with
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So in the next slide, you'll see a photo of the finished product. So the contractor, they took it down. This is a photo of it still under construction, so it's not done yet. But it shows how beautiful that end product became when the contractor took down those trims, and then the woodworker replaned it, refinished it, and put it together.
And he did a mix and match
Yeah.
of the lights and the darks
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and the different streaks.
Yeah, and we had a bit of leftover. So at the far corner in the slide, you'll see there's some boxes on the wall. So he was able to use those additional leftover pieces to make these display boxes for the clients. So,
Oh, my
so
goodness.
we're all very happy with that end result.
It probably makes the potential clients walking into that office very, very sympathetic with the firm. Wow, look at the wonderful work these people did.
Yeah, that's
So,
the hope.
We're very happy working with them, very much.
Yeah, they've been very supportive of all our ideas. We might propose to do things a little differently, but they're always very open to new ideas. And
Aren't your
very supportive.
typical clients people who want to think differently? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're very blessed with all these good clients that we've been able to get.
well, for some reason you're getting blessed. You're working for your blessings, I think.
We are. We certainly are.
It's been fun.
Yeah,
No,
I can
it's-
see that. I would love to work at that table. The table itself would be an inspiration.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we can bring it down to just normal, scale too, that anyone can use and feel. So that's our key to design anyway. That's what we do.
Yeah. And what are we going to see next there?
The next one is going into a slightly bigger scale from a table to a building. So in the next,
Oops, no,
wait, this one. Okay, so it's okay. It's a small condominium building that we're working on. It's located in the Makali Mo'ilili area. So it's a small building. There's only 9 units. So from the get-go, we wanted to provide a residential product that is not commonly seen in town. We're very sympathetic to the existing community fabric and scale. So Mo'ilili Makali is an older neighborhood with a lot of smaller buildings. There's not a lot of big buildings, big tall high-rises in that neighborhood. So with that in mind, we designed the building to be just 7-story. So we're not towering over other people, and we also maximize the land plot. We are using native Hawaiian plants in the landscape. So the important thing is to, because Mo'ilili is such a friendly neighborhood, that we don't want to lose that. So we intentionally design our building so that it still keep a very close relationship to the street and to the ground.
And what is that diagonal structure that I'm seeing there?
This is a cut-off axonometric drawing. So it's kind of cut the building, and so you can see the inside.
Okay.
So as you can see in this section, each unit has 2 floors in it, so which is unique in town. So they're essentially townhouses, but they're like stacked on top of each other. So each unit have 2 floors, and so what's luxury that we're able to provide is that in the living dining space, there's a double height space. Unusual for what we have.
Interesting. And what do you do for ventilation?
Yeah, so we'll get into that, but yes. So we'll just quickly go into the next slide before we touch on
the ventilation.
The ventilation.
Yeah.
So again, we're very interested in King Street as a neighborhood. So the next slide will show that there's a lot of businesses along King Street that we believe it to be a very walkable neighborhood. There's a lot of restaurants and shops and bars that and supermarket and wine shops. So right around the corner from our project, you have all these businesses and you can walk everywhere. We used to live on Eisenberg Street and we miss it because we can do a lot of our shopping and eating without getting into a car. So that's a very interesting neighborhood to us, and we hope to do more projects up and down King Street.
So did you design from the ground up, or
Yes.
It's from the ground up. And,
Okay, I think we'll see some more of it on the next slide here.
So then the next slide will touch on what your question about ventilation. So we're blessed with also, again, another blessing is that this is a pretty simple site. It's a square and it's flat. So we have a number of ways to situate our building. But we did it in a way where the building is actually facing north or facing Malka. So then all those trade wind from the Malka side can come through the building. It's a single loaded building, so then the breeze can go through that double height space where we will have louver windows for them to kind of just go through the unit, and then it splits. The breeze can go through to downstairs, go to upstairs, and just flow through the building. Also by the building facing north, that where we have the double height space, that the sun will not be hitting that double height space directly. We'll get a lot of indirect natural sunlight. So that will bring in a lot of daylight, but at the same time not the heat. For our south-facing windows, we provide sun shading so that to keep out the hot sun.
Sun from the south and the west.
The west is the hottest side.
Right. So for our units are facing north, facing Malka, and then the two short ends, east and west, are stairs and vertical circulation, elevators. So this is how we choose to kind of orient the building to kind of keeping in mind the sun angles and the breeze and the climate.
The roof, we put photovoltaics to generate.
Is this?
So the next slide shows it's a rendering of the building. It shows that we have photovoltaic up on the roof, and where you're seeing a vertical screen, that's west facing. So we designed a vertical screen to help shield the hot afternoon sun. Right now, we're in discussion with the PV suppliers that perhaps we can even put PV panels vertically on the facade. So we have to spend the money on the screen material anyway. Why don't we spend that on PV? We're working with them to maximize the efficiency. We understand that it's not going to be as efficient as up on the roof.
I think that if you did, there's been a lot of discussion about that, but I don't know that anybody's actually done it. They've done it in Germany of all places, but
and in San Diego, we saw quite a bit, and it will catch on, within these 5 or 10 years.
And let me point out that the PVs on the roof will shade the roof so that you have zero solar gain coming through the roof.
Exactly.
Because you have to raise the PV panels a bit, and that allows the flow through of the wind. And incidentally, that exempts you from conforming to the building code. You don't need to insulate it at all.
Right, and this will be the first building too that we're gonna precast everything in tarpaulin and bring it in pieces.
The primary structure. Precast concrete panels. So we are limiting. Again, that there's a concrete building. We're not shipping in a whole lot of materials from off the island. We're just using local aggregate, casting it out in capillary. And so it also minimizes the amount of time that we need to be working on the site. But we really hope that the vertical PV panels can be realized, as we believe that it will, like Bundit said, it will. It's not only decorative; it's also energy, generate energy.
Wow, that's remarkable. And we do need to take a break. But we'll be right back with our final segment here.
Aloha, I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroots Institute and host on Ehana Kako, a weekly program on the ThinkTech Hawaii broadcast network. Ehana Kako means let's work together. Think of the sad alternative, let's not work together. Here in Hawaii, with all of our diversity and the richness of the people, it's important for us to come together around issues on the basis of what's right and what's good and what's going to serve the common good. And that's what we try to do at Ehana Kako. Every week we interview movers and shakers, people in government, business, and other sectors of society to talk about how to create together a better government, economy, a better world here in Hawaii that can bless the rest of the world. I thank you for your attention to ThinkTech Hawaii, and we look forward to seeing you every Monday, 2 to 3 p.m. on the ThinkTech Hawaii Broadcast Network. We're Ehana Kako, and we wish you well. Aloha.
Good afternoon again. Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. I have Tadpole Studio here with Bundit and Janice, and I'm just being overwhelmed by the greenness of these projects. What else do you have in store for us here?
Okay, so we've been talking about our work. So next we want to talk a little bit about our fun projects, our play projects.
Our play project.
You mean those aren't fun? That you just
Those are fun.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of work involved. But what's coming up is also a bit of work, but it's a lot of fun. So before, a number of years back, we used to have a location in Chinatown, and a small studio in Chinatown on Smith Street. So we were doing these kind of fun art projects. So in this slide, you'll see that we're making T-shirts. So the idea behind this project is that we want to use old T-shirts and kind of give them new life.
Oh my goodness.
So Bundit and Kirk, a designer that used to work with us, came up with the idea of this used to be yours. So we got these T-shirts from Goodwill, and these are used, and we even screened the Goodwill receipts onto the T-shirt, as you see there on the right. And so, and then we also encourage people to bring in their own old clothing, and then we have these templates set up already, and then it can be like, this used to be my mom's, this used to be my dad's, this used to be my sister's. And then so just kind of like putting this nice graphic on it and kind of trying to encourage people to keep wearing their old clothes.
And do you do it on the spot? I mean, can the people stand there and watch you?
Yeah,
wow.
In the background, we're screening it.
Yeah, we got a bunch of friends to help out. We had a production line going, and so that was a lot of fun. And then we did quite a number of interesting and fun art projects in that studio space.
That would be a conversation starter, walking down the street. People would say, what? Or you're standing in a supermarket line and what's in this shirt here?
And just to raise awareness too, that something used that you don't use anymore can give it a new life, be reincarnated again.
Wow. That indeed looks like fun.
Yeah.
And so what else do you have for us then?
The next one is a project that Bundit collaborated with the UH Art School.
Yeah. Eating in public, that's the group of people that we collaborate with.
Oh, was this Dore Shin by any chance? I guess not.
No.
Gay Chan?
Gay Chan.
I've heard of her,
Yeah, she's the head of the art department there at UH. And she was having this kind of community art project going on in that gallery. So, and invited Bundit to participate. And so he had previously fabricated this card. Do you want to talk about this card?
Yeah, this card is actually a baking rack that our friend picked up from the street. So we just did the fabrication and infill, and I turned into like a mobile kitchen that go out into the community. So I bring this card to the gallery and cook and feed people, almost 200 people that show up.
Yeah.
And the people that come, you can elaborate better.
So, well, Gay Chan has this project of eating in public. So all the food is you either hunted yourself or bartered or gifted, and so there's no money exchanging hands. So Bundit, the way he did it, he's asked people to kind of bring their leftovers. So food that is like sitting in your fridge, and you bring it, and then he'll cook it in his food cart. But what he can make really well is fried rice. So it's easy to make fried rice with leftover, and it's very good. So with all this leftover food, he was able to feed a lot of people at the art school that day.
So this was primarily students, or students and faculty, or?
And faculties and many
visitors,
visitors.
There's just
Almost 200 people show up and share the recipe, and we had a great time.
Yeah, I have a lot of socializing. I see that.
And it was fun, and it's amazing how people, be creative and bring all their food.
And then you decide you're the artist with the food. A little bit here, mix it with that here.
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
So.
And then in the next slide is an exhibition that the museum asked us to put together. This was in the Museum Art School at Lilikona. So Bundit and a bunch of his friends and the woodworker that we normally work with and the metal worker that we normally work with all work together to put this together.
Yeah, and it started off from the light bulbs that get thrown away. They almost get thrown away, but we pick them up and start to question about the role of technologies. It's like, where do they go from now?
Because these are old incandescent light bulbs that are getting replaced with back then the CFL light bulbs. But then there's all these incandescent light bulbs that are still functioning. But do we just throw it away? Or it's just to kind of raise up the question, like it's not as energy efficient, but do we just put them into the landfill?
Well, you can thank me for that. That's a major part of my job is get rid of those.
So we collected them and make them into this huge chandelier that you can see in the slide. And there's a number of other reused objects in the exhibition. There's like old chairs. I think there's a toilet bowl.
We pick up from the street and try to give it a new life.
So so there you can see that huge chandelier, but it's not plugged in. It's just decorative. And I don't know if the director at the museum school still have it in his office. After the exhibition, he decided to hang it in his office.
My goodness.
And all the chairs are mixed match of elements that we found and give it a new life.
Good Lord.
So.
And then you've got another fun project coming up, I see.
Yeah, so this last project that we want to share is it's a theoretical project at the moment. It's just something fun that we're doing. So there's no clients yet, or it's not a real project, let's say, but it's just something that we've been thinking about. On the slide, you can see that we're located on King Street at the corner of Pensacola.
Okay.
So we're next to McKinley High School. So being in this neighborhood, we walk around a lot because we have no parking at our office. So we walk around the neighborhood a lot. And we see that there are people waiting at bus stop. A lot of people waiting at bus stop because of the school, and then the Kaiser Permanente also there. So we started thinking about bus stops.
Yeah. And how it can become more than a bus stop.
Yeah. So in the next slide, you see kind of our idea of, in Hawaii, we have a very good bus network.
Definitely.
There's always room for improvement, but it's a very good bus system that we have, and but we just want to look at the design of bus stops and see, how far can we push it for it to be more than just bus stops. So this is a theoretical bus stop by McKinley, because we see a lot of students waiting for buses there.
And also the bike lane that just opened.
You got your bicyclist in there.
So we're looking at how do you combine the two. Perhaps there's stationary bike at the bus stop where you can pedal on these bikes to generate energy.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can get a bus ticket in return for your work to generate the
It's
energy.
just how much energy you put in, and the incentive is just to get the bus pass.
And then we can put photovoltaic panels on the roof, and these energy generated maybe can be used toward street lights or lighting the bus stop itself, or for the sprinkler in McKinley. They have this huge, beautiful lawn.
Yeah.
So that needs maintenance. So yeah, biking, pedal, generate energy, store in the battery, use it in lighting or landscaping.
And, you know, Kaiser is across the street.
Yep,
Maybe
yep.
the cardiovascular lab can do something with
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
You know, I've often thought, as I drive around town at night, that a lot of women are taking the bus at night, and the bus shelters make the place dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women do not like dark
Right,
things.
right.
So if you could combine that with LED lights, say store the energy up in the battery in the
Right,
day,
yeah.
and then have lights on, especially in the early part of the night when there's a lot of riders out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've often thought of suggesting that to the mayor, but I see where great minds think alike here.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And also we are understand that right now there's that people are looking into doing bike sharing. So like in some other cities like New York and San Francisco, where you have stations where bikes are there available for people to borrow, and then you may return it at another station.
yeah.
So maybe that can also be combined with the bus stop, and these bikes perhaps can sit on a mechanism where you can just bike there while you wait for the bus to generate energy, or you can take it off and use it and borrow it and return it elsewhere.
So we call this
Okay.
project V-Cycle Station.
Recycle.
V-Cycle.
We don't have much time, so what else are we going to look at here?
I think this is the last project, and
Oh.
yeah, so this is our last theoretical work that we hope to kind of just generate discussion and thoughts about what we can do.
Recycle, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I hadn't thought this elaborately, but wow. I hope somebody from the city will be viewing this here.
Yes.
And give
Let us
you guys
know.
a call. Yeah, yeah. Oh, speaking of which, how do people get hold of you?
Our practice name is Tadpole Studio. You can go to www.tadpolestudio.org. That's our website. You can our email is on there. Yeah.
And why are you an ORG instead of a COM?
I think it was taken.
It was,
Oh,
it was taken, and when we start off, we do mainly play project. All the project that we did is community based, and we don't get any money, very few. So going in the .org is much better in that direction. So that's how we start off, just to make this community better through design. And back then, I was working full time at another architecture firm. That it's good to separate work and play.
I was wondering how you're going to keep rice on the table here.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on that very, very cheery note, this has been hugely not just enjoyable, but inspirational.
Thank you.
Wow, and incidentally, you both are very, very articulate also.
Thank you.
So that'll do it for today. Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. See you in 2 weeks. And again, thank you so much, Bundit and Janice. This
Thank
has
you,
been
Howard.
huge fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.